I should have washed the window off first, but I've been asked about our computer and why we do stuff what we do. It's 84.9 in here right now. It's 302. But the reason we chose what we do and how we do, and this is a Crop King one. It is a business that sells hydroponic equipment out of Ohio. But the reason why we started with what we do and how we have the stuff set up, let me get it turned past over here, and why we have them set up this way and why we're doing it is because we purchased an existing business. We'll come over and look at this stuff as I'm talking. Here, this is our 5th year growing in this greenhouse. Plus we grew in the one at the gentleman and lady's house that we purchased the business from. They grew hydroponic tomatoes at the farmers markets we attended. Well, when they decided they were getting older, they would like to retire, we were asked, along with several other people, there's some lettuce coming up down there, and kale in this one, and spinach. But we were asked, here, let me set this up on the tripod, just a second. Alright, but we were asked, along with several other people, if we would like to purchase the business. We thought about it and we looked through their stuff and agreed upon a price, and so we purchased this greenhouse we're in plus the parts they had for the second bay that we're working on putting up, and we grew in his greenhouse that he had that summer or year. That way he could teach us how he was taught how to do it. This is why everything is set up the way it is, because this is what he had, this is the way he taught us, and so we have been just doing what he has. Dad and I did go down to Branson, Missouri and took a class from Crop King that taught us about hydroponics and a little bit more, and we've changed just a few things minimally to fit our needs a little bit better. But then after we bought this greenhouse and the second bay, the one we were growing in, we also purchased it and all the equipment that went with it also. So this is why we're set up with the Dutch buckets the way we are, with all the equipment in the greenhouses that we have, in the electronics we have, and the heaters we have, because they all came with what we were purchasing. So that's why, I mean, we didn't start with anything new, but it made us a deal, got us a better deal than buying new, but it also helped them out to retire and get out of the business. And so it was a great deal for them. It was a great deal for us. So it worked out well. But that is why how we got into hydroponics and why we are set up the way we are with the equipment we do. It made it really easy for us to get our feet in the door. We didn't have near the learning curve you usually do when you first start off, because we grew up there with him teaching us and showing us, all right, look for this. This is this. If you see this, you need to do that type things. It made it a lot easier. It was hands-on learning, which I feel way more comfortable with hands-on learning versus reading a book or watching something. If you're actually doing it and having a person show you as you're walking through, looking for pest, disease, insects, just weird anomalies, and showing you and helping you do it, it just makes it a whole lot easier. That way you have a lot better idea what's going on, how it's doing, etc. So that's kind of the history of how we've got started. This is a Stubby's greenhouse with Crop King equipment, electronics. The computer runs the exhaust fans, the heaters, the irrigation, all of that stuff that turns on and off automatically. That computer runs it all. We can set up the wet wall to open and close as it wants at certain temperatures, or whatever we would set it at. We can turn the wet wall pads on and off. We can set up the irrigation to run however we want it to. Right now, every half hour we are running it for right around 2 minutes. When we first transplant, I like to run it a little bit longer than I normally would, just to make sure we're getting enough water to them. But we can turn the heaters on at the same time, or stair step them like what we do. Our oil heater turns on first, and then when it gets a little bit cooler, our propane turns on. The fans can either turn on at the same time or one before the other, which is what they do right now. It just makes it a lot handier because it makes it kind of almost a hands-free, except for looking to double check stuff. When it gets hot in the summer, it turns on the cooling. We don't have to be here and watch it. We don't have to manually open doors or close them if storms are coming. It reads, we have a temperature sensor and humidity sensor. We have a CO2 generator, which we don't use a lot because it's something that used to be used a lot more than what we do now. If we were using this when it was really buttoned up tight in the winter, we'd probably use it more, but with what we do, everything's opened up enough. We're pulling enough air through here that we're getting enough carbon dioxide in here. We don't need to generate more. But that's kind of how everything works and turns on automatically. It makes it really nice. There are a lot nicer computers out there than what we have now, but they're also really, really expensive. And unless I win the lottery, we're probably going to use that one for a long time because it is set up and big enough. It will run all of the stuff with the second bay already. We don't have to change anything. We just have to wire it in. It makes it really handy that way, and we can change stuff around. We can set stuff up on timers or by temperature. Start the day at different times. I mean, it makes it really, really handy for us, so we can set different set points. We can set our different high and low temperatures. It just makes adjusting it almost as easy as can be. You just got to type it in and adjust stuff in it and reprogram it, which is fairly easy. It's all touch button. It's not touch pad like a phone or anything. It's just you got to hit the buttons in the right order and it does what you want. But that's how we got started in hydroponics. The little bit of detail behind it, why we are doing what we do. It is really nice. Normally we're usually picking tomatoes the end of April, but with the weird weather, I'm going to say we'll be lucky to get tomatoes out in end of May. We might get some before then. We've got some really nice looking plants now. They're starting to look a little bit better. But with the cold that we had the end of February, 1st of March, we just weren't sure if we trusted the heaters to keep it warm enough in here because we were sub-zero clear until it started flooding. It never did get our normal spring. We still aren't into a normal spring. We're still cold for where we are. Usually I have something planted in the garden by now, and I don't have anything except garlic that we put in last year. I haven't even done any disking or plowing or anything out there that we usually have done. I hope we get nicer weather eventually. It rained yesterday, but it's finally starting to settle the ground. That it's not a complete soup hole, but I still feel sorry for all the people along the Missouri. Record-setting floods. I mean, horrible. The town of Pacific Junction has like 12 feet of water in it and has a current running through it right now. Interstate 29 south of Council Bluffs is closed, I think, clear to Kansas City almost. That's crazy. But record floods this year, and they're sounding like we're not done with them yet, and I hope we are, because I hope I never see that much water anywhere again except for the ocean, because it's still horrible to see. We are glad we did have some water standing in the bottom, but we're good now. Makes it pretty nice that we lucked out. We are just tall enough that we didn't have a major issue. Where we did have water, as soon as it dries out, I don't think we're going to have a problem because we don't have any sediment. We didn't have any of the issues like that because it was, we got lucky. But a lot of people weren't. So I like to keep the thoughts out for them people, but I'm rambling now, so I guess I better stop this video and get back to work. But just thought I would share how we got started into the hydroponics and why we are doing what we do with this stuff we have, because there's so many different ways to do it. We were just lucky and started with all the equipment in the beginning, so it made it a lot easier, a lot handier. So thanks everybody. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and share with your friends and hit the bell for notifications, and see you guys in the next one.